video broadcast, I want to do this one on Daniel 6:8, and it says, "So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus of Persia." So we see Daniel lived through the reigns of several kings. Actually, post-Babylonian invasion of Jerusalem, Daniel was one of the young exiles that had been taken captive and basically taken captive from his homeland and exiled to Babylon. And so the king of Babylon came against Judah in the city of Jerusalem, and Daniel was one of the young exiles that got taken captive. And we see, even in the midst of a bad situation, Daniel seems to experience the Lord's favor and blessing wherever he ended up. And we see first reference in Daniel 1:9. God gave him favor and honor in the sight of men. This did not exempt Daniel from difficulties, however, but God was with him wherever he went and wherever he found himself. And whatever situation he found himself in, God was blessing and using Daniel. And in chapter 6, the Babylonians had eventually been overthrown by the Persian Empire, and the Persian Empire became the dominant power, yet Daniel prospered. And what we see here is no matter what circumstance we find ourselves in, we too, like Daniel, can experience God's favor and protection. And it says in Jeremiah 17:7 through 8, it says, "But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in the year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit." Okay. Then we take a look at Psalm 92:12 through 14, for example, says something similar. It says, "The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon, planted in the house of the Lord. They will flourish in the courts of our God, and they will still bear fruit. Even in their old age, they will stay fresh and green." So if you think about palm trees are actually kind of a unique type of tree. Palm trees are very fascinated because of the structure of the tree and the way they're designed. Is they can actually weather some of the most intense storms and hurricanes because of the unique design of the palm tree, unlike ordinary trees, which would be blown over and broken to shreds by such strong wind and hurricane force. Palm trees can actually bend and be flexible and actually survive the storm. And so I think that says something a lot when it says the righteous will flourish like a palm tree. And that doesn't mean we won't go through storms in life. Doesn't mean we won't be battered by the winds of life or the waves of life. It just means I think the Lord is bring us through every difficulty we face in one piece. And it says, and in between chapter 1 and chapter 6 of Daniel, many, many years had passed. In chapter 1, Daniel was a young man. But if we fast forward to chapter 6, Daniel had to at least have been in his 70s at that point. And in verse 28 of chapter 6, this occurs after God preserves him from the lion's den, And when he came near to the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, who you continually serve, continually been able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "My king, live forever. May my God sent his angels and shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I done any wrong before you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him because he trusted in his God. Daniel trusted in his God. That's the key phrase right there. Daniel goes on to taste the Lord's goodness and faithfulness to the end of his days. We see in Isaiah 46:4 play out in Daniel's life, even to your old age and gray hairs I am he. I am he who sustains you. I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. Isaiah 46:4. And that can be ours too. When we're walking in the will of God, we're living faithfully to Him, we can trust God will get us through whatever we have to face. We look at the story of the life of Joseph. Joseph faced many difficulties before God finally brought about what He promised him. But, it didn't exempt him from the trials in between. But, we see in several passages in Joseph's life, it says, but the Lord was with him. And the Lord was with him. Even in those bad situations, the Lord sustained him and took care of him. And that can be the true with our case as well. God doesn't promise we'll have an easy path, but He promises He will be with us and take care of us in each situation we face. Hope you found this message encouraging. God bless.